It's just the norm. It's the standard, or as I like to call it, the standy.
The standy.
The standy.
The bar we've set.
Yeah, it's the BU standy.
So what's going on?
Hey guys, welcome back.
Thank you for returning. It's been quite some time.
It has. Has it been a month? Has it been that long? It feels like it. Perhaps not, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
When did we go to Farmingdale?
Oh, was it
2
the
weeks ago?
26th?
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that would have been our normal recording night, but we didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And then something happened.
Yeah, I don't know. We were trying to go to that for
and then I was away last week.
Yeah, we were trying to go to that for a really long time.
Yeah, 3 separate times it didn't happen, and then it finally did.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was fun, and the weather was nice. It wasn't overwhelmingly hot like it was the previous year.
Yes, 97 degrees being at an outside music and drink festival. Bad idea.
But yeah, welcome back to the Brews in the Basement podcast.
I want to say episode 7.
Yeah, I actually forgot how deep we are into this. It's either 7 or 8.
I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with 7.
Yeah, if not, edit.
Exactly.
Right? The power of editing. But yeah, welcome back, everybody. And if you're a first-time listener/viewer, glad to have you here.
And if you're a returning listener, thank you for returning.
Yeah.
I know I said that before.
Still glad to have you here. Either
Exactly.
ways. But yeah, it's been a while, obviously, as we've said. But yeah.
What's been going on in your life since our last pod?
Oh, man, since the last pod. I mean, it's going to sound so boring, right? But it's like, I feel like we're at that stage where there's not really that much going on. It's like work constantly, you know? And then for me, it's come home and play games or whatever, you know, do chores, do laundry, hang out with you and some of our other friends, hang out with Steve, you know, who, if you've seen our other videos on the channel here, you know, try to catch up on some shows perhaps, but it's mostly been playing Starfield, which if you're a gamer out there, you obviously know how easy it is to get sucked into that black hole. Space reference. Even though I'm sure there's no black holes in the game, but also Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is just a fun multiplayer game.
Is that on Xbox?
Yeah. So
only new gen?
So they are both on Xbox. Starfield is exclusively on Xbox and PC because it's Microsoft exclusive. And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre is cross-platform, so you can play it on anything except Switch, I think. I don't think it's on Switch.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's what I've been doing, really. Other than that, not too much, you know, watching a couple scary movies here and there. Tried watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, the extended edition, because it was on sale if you play the game. And I got to be honest, not really liking it so far.
Okay.
It might just be because it's the extended cut. Because sometimes I feel like there's a lot of scenes that were obviously cut out because they just don't do anything for the film. So watching like a 3-hour movie that probably realistically is like an hour and a half so far has not been great.
So it's not quite the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that. But yeah, that's pretty much all that's been going on for me. How about you? I mean, I know you got back from
the bachelor party. Yeah, so let's see. Anything going on in the month of August? Not really. We did
we did celebrate our birthdays.
I was going to say we hung out for your birthday.
Yeah.
And we watched Sinister.
Yes.
So Sinister, if you've seen previous episodes, you know is Corey's favorite horror movie or one of them.
It's one of them. It's definitely up there.
Right. So spoiler alert if you haven't seen Sinister, though it's been out for a decade or so now.
It's your own fault now.
That was my first time watching it, and I'm used to horror movies where, and I wouldn't even call it a horror, right? That's probably more thriller.
It's a bit of both, right? Because the videotapes that you see in it are pretty grotesque.
The videotapes are, I would say graphic.
Yeah, and there's some haunting, I guess, technically. But.
Yeah, but the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, like, all right, like, what are they going to do to get out? Also, Officer So-and-so is Ziggy from The Wire. which is awesome.
Yep.
And then at the end, they move. Officer so-and-so is like, hey, you're following the pattern, and then they just die.
Yep.
And as someone who is a fan of not bad endings, but
we're like the more morbid, but yeah,
the
like
morbid
kind of
endings,
bad, yeah.
or like endings where, you know,
You would
they wouldn't
expect
be
it.
considered. It's a good ending, but it's not a like a happy ending.
Yeah.
I was very happy.
Yeah, I know you tend to lean more towards the like the, let's just call it bad endings for movies and stuff like that.
And shows that should have them, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes the people that you love should die.
Yeah.
And in this
That's
case,
just the way
in
it is.
Sinister's case, that happened. So I was happy about that. We did watch that for Corey's birthday.
Yep.
Got you your orange soda, which I'm glad you were able to have. And
Who loves orange soda? Not just Kel. Not just Kel.
Corey does too.
Yep. I do. Ooh.
And went on a bachelor party. Weekend getaway last week. Definitely was nice to be at a bachelor party with a whole bunch of people in their 30s. Because looking at it compared to previous bachelor parties I've been to in my 20s, those were just absolute shit shows. Those when we were younger.
Yeah.
Because it was just like...
And you didn't even have to put anybody to sleep.
Right. This time
I'm sure.
around, everyone had their own drinks, everyone had their own things they partook in, and we had a good time, and it was very easy. We had a beer pong tournament. No one played beer pong in years. It was very obvious it had been a very long time. We were both a little rusty.
Yeah.
I mean, all a little rusty. But yeah, not much going on. Like you said, a lot of work.
Yeah, we're just at that stage.
And other than that, not much. Just sometimes the weeks get full out of nowhere.
Yeah, we were at the brewery right before we started recording, so we kind of caught up a little bit, but obviously we want to share that with you guys.
So I say we get into our beer of the week.
Yes, let's. I'm parched.
So when I went to the distributor, being that it's September and when it's about to start to cool down here, or usually it does.
Or so you would think, right? Like, who knows? It seems like the weather patterns change.
Yeah.
Everything keeps getting like pushed back further and further every year.
The store is filled, or the distributor and stores in general, they're filled with pumpkin beers, Oktoberfests, and any kind of that type of beer.
Yeah.
So I walked in and I was like, I'm not going to get an Oktoberfest
not yet.
or a pumpkin beer. And then I saw a few that I was really interested in. And I was like, all right, maybe. So I walked around a little bit more. And then I even picked a 6-pack up off the shelf. And then I was like, all right, let me head to where all the 4-packs are. Now, I usually don't go to the 4-packs because the 4-packs are expensive.
Yeah.
Right? They sell 4-packs for like...
There's got to be a reason for that.
They can be anywhere from like $15 to $30, depending. Usually because these are smaller breweries and distilleries or whatever you want to call them, and their cost to distribute is higher.
Okay.
So they have to sell higher.
That makes sense.
To, recoup or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I was told by the guy that owns the distributor. So... I tend to believe it. Is it true? Maybe.
Who knows?
And then as I'm walking by, I see that handsome man right there with the bandana on and the mustache. And I was like, this looks very interesting. And I saw it was a hazy IPA, right? Is that what they call it? Yeah, Steal Your Name.
Haze.
Oh, Steal Your Haze. Steal Your Name. I'm looking right at it. Steal Your Haze Double Dry Hopped Hazy IPA. From Distill Brewery. We looked them up. They're from Normal,
Illinois.
Yeah, it's on the can.
It does say that. I was gonna like wait for that to come up organically, but I happened to notice that like right away. Looking over at the can.
It's right at the top.
Yeah. I do like the artwork.
I'm sure everyone can read.
Yeah. Maybe they'll read it on
So
the Zoom.
the thing is, the artwork is what caught my eye.
Yeah,
and I was like, Corey's gonna like the artwork.
Yeah, I
So
always
was
like all
let
of
me
these
go with
artworks,
this.
man. But then it's like, I just hope it tastes as good as it looks. 'Cause
Right.
I love.
We've had a pretty rough history with that.
Yeah, like the UFO ones looked great, but boy, did they not taste great.
Right. So I went with this. I don't even remember how much it was. Probably anywhere from $15 to $20, $25, I'd imagine. But yeah, so we're going with this. I'm not sure that these cups will fit 2 cans each because these
That's
are
okay.
the taller cans.
We'll figure it out.
But it seems their brand is to support flavor and boycott bland. It says that on the bottom of each of the cans.
Huh. Interesting.
So, and when I looked up their website. They apparently have restaurants as well, and they're independently owned. So, and the guy at the distributor said that this is a series of beers. So they have a bunch of different beers from this Deadhead IPA series, which is why it says series down here. So I would be if I like this, I would be interested in trying all of them.
Yeah.
Because I always like trying new beers, hence this podcast.
Yeah, it's one of our staples here.
So, yeah, let's get going.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Please, guys, if you do enjoy today's podcast, drop a like. Let us know in that comment section, what you thought, or if you have any topics you want us to discuss or beers you want us to try. We're always open to, to doing that. It's kind of the whole point, is trying different things. And if you did those things, please subscribe to the channel, as predominantly, besides doing the podcast here with Dillon, we put out react videos on the channel, which Dillon has also been featured in a number of them, as well as many of our other friends.
Yes, Corey does those react videos. Majority of them are with Steve, which you all obviously know, having watched previous videos.
Hell yeah.
We'll have to have Steve on the pod one day.
We will.
And definitely we'll have to do a beer with him. I would love to get his feedback.
Yeah. Actually, on some of the most recent videos that we had with Kim and Larissa from the Beauty Time podcast, Larissa unintentionally did a beer rating.
She did rate a beer.
For was it the neon beer, right? Or was it?
Oh yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of beer in one can.
Yeah, look at that. It almost filled it up completely.
Yeah, we could.
You have a way better head on yours than I did.
We could probably
though.
put the second cans in the. Do you want to put the filled cans in the freezer or fridge so they cool down?
Yeah, I guess we could do that. That's probably a better idea. Let me put this to the side, not that it really matters, but I just like it for the aesthetics of the camera. Right, guys? I mean, if you're watching this, if you're listening, you have literally no frame of reference whatsoever, but I just took it out of the shot.
Yeah, so if you are listening, it's a black can with I would say red outline, and it's supported by a bunch of other, I guess, neon colors. I probably am not the person to be doing this.
It's definitely a colorful can.
But then there's a skull with a bandana just folded over across the forehead.
Yeah,
half
just imagine
purple, half red.
Yeah, just imagine like the Grateful Dead kind of.
Exactly.
That's what it makes me think of.
Exactly.
With just like an epic beard and mustache.
This is a really nice can. The one thing I have noticed is, especially with the smaller breweries that distribute, these are all stickers, right?
Yeah.
So
maybe it's cheaper, right?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Probably
right.
Instead
of getting the cans
printed on or whatever. Yeah, it's got to be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, but these are pretty.
This is a nice light-looking beer.
So I was actually surprised by that. I wasn't expecting it to be so light.
Yeah, it looks like we're drinking juice. Some nice pineapple juice right here. My favorite.
Yeah, right. Citra, Cascade, and El Dorado hops. Okay. Yeah, very light. I'm hoping it's going to be light.
Let's see what the nose detects. That smells like beer.
It does.
It smells pretty good.
I
But
smell
now-
the citrus, so
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing what the taste is.
Yeah.
So cheers.
Cheers to you and to everybody out there. If you're listening / watching, raise a glass.
Oh, see, this is very citrus.
Yeah.
This is what I thought the UFOs were going to taste like.
Yeah. You know what's funny is like I was waiting for the citrus to like really kick in because like obviously you got it a little bit quicker than I did, but I feel like it on the aftertaste it takes like a few seconds and then I really tasted the citrus and can still taste it now.
And I get why they say dry hopped, right?
Yeah, it does.
'Cause
It does.
It has a very dry taste, but it's good.
Yeah.
And it's a lot different than the other hazies.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Because I don't feel like this tastes like a beer that's super high in percentage. I think this is just 7%. 7%. But there are
if
go
it
ahead.
is, it's masked very well.
Right. So that's my
'Cause-
point. Is there are some beers that are 7.5% where you're like, whoa, I can tell I'm drinking a beer that's going to get me drunk. Whereas this, I don't really taste too much beer.
Yeah, not really. Maybe like initially it just has like a beer taste to it, but the citrus quickly, punches out that beer taste, It's definitely really good. This is gonna be up there for me.
It's going to be up there.
Yeah.
It just will bring me back to we have to re-rate the first citrus we did.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it since, so
Yeah.
maybe
We
next
will.
year.
We will.
But, man, we gave that a 7, and it's way better than a 7.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at this. I feel like I like that citrus more than I like this. But to me, this is more than a 7.
Yeah.
So
I was
I'll
gonna-
go back to saying we underrated that first citrus.
Yeah, I still think that the Voodoo Ranger is the one that we had is still better than
Yes.
this, and it's probably going to be like my favorite so far that we've had on the podcast. But this one is very good, and I'm like, in the brief period of time now that I've had this and have been considering a score, I think I've reached a verdict already.
Let's hear it. What does the nose know?
The nose knows a lot, and this beer is an 8.
Okay.
This beer is an 8 for me. It's definitely very good. I wonder how I'll feel like the more you get into it, because I don't know if like the citrus, will just be so much by the end for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not necessarily like a huge fan of that, but I do like citrus beers. It's just a matter of how citrusy it will become by the end.
I agree with you. 8. That's where I was going. I do like the Voodoo Ranger better. But it's very good. I will be trying the rest of this series based on this.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what other, flavors and such things that they have to offer.
What I'm impressed about is it's a double dry hopped hazy IPA. And
Dry is definitely
it's
the right
not-
word for
it's
it.
dry,
Too. It's very dry.
but it's not bitter, where
Yeah.
I feel like people that make IPAs try to make shit super bitter, and I've said that before. But it's also not like it doesn't overwhelm you. I feel like it's very smooth.
It is smooth. Yeah, I was gonna say there's like no bite to it at all.
At all. It's a smooth drink. 7%. I think these are 16-ounce cans, considering how much they filled up our.
They're tall, quite tall.
Considering how much they filled up our mugs here, I'm sure it's listed somewhere. But to be fair,
Yeah,
I don't really care.
I didn't really observe too much, but
But yeah, I'll say 8 as well. Very good. Distill Brewery. I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, but
that's how I would read it, anyways.
Distill.
Yeah.
Distill. Normal, Illinois. They have a brewery there, at least one. Seems like they have a restaurant as well. Very good. 8.
Yeah.
I agree.
If we ever go there for whatever reason.
So I kind of want to go to Chicago just to be like, yeah, I went to Chicago. And I've heard
Chicago's nice.
I've had people tell me that Chicago is just a cleaner Manhattan, right?
Wow. I could believe that.
Manhattan's dirty as fuck. New York City. The city is fucking nasty.
It's not great.
Right? I try to avoid going to the city by all costs. But I do want to just go to Chicago to have been to Chicago.
Yeah. I know like many years ago now, Koki and Heish went to Chicago for, I want to say it was like an orchestra, and they were performing something from like a video game series, maybe Final Fantasy. I don't know, because I never was really into that. But I know they went there for a concert specifically, and they were saying Chicago was they really loved, you know, visiting. So I would be interested.
I've heard good things about Chicago. The problems that Chicago has are the problems that every major city has. So I'm used to them from the city, so they're not going to bother me being in Chicago.
Yeah.
Maybe, fly in, check out a Blackhawks game, spend the day, and fly home. That would be pretty sick.
That would be fun. I would. There was a time when I considered going just for the Blackhawks. But,
yeah. But yeah, Distill Brewery, Normal, Illinois. I don't know where you are in location to Chicago. Apologies. I'm a product of the American school system as far as geography is concerned.
I mean, why would you need to know that ever?
I don't know. I know where Chicago is on a map.
Yeah, that seems like the.
But I don't know where Normal, Illinois is. But
this beer is.
If I ever ended up in Normal, Illinois, I would absolutely search out this brewery. This beer is very good. I think we're going with 8s across the board.
8s across the board for Distill.
Very good. Very good. We'll be trying the others as well. Maybe not on the podcast. Maybe. But either way, definitely going to try this series. So, cheers to you.
Cheers.
So, we're going to finish this beer throughout the podcast. The bachelor party was in a small town in New Jersey. The place we stayed gave, anywhere you stay, they give you like a sheet of rules and, things to abide by. And on that sheet, they gave you a list of things to do in the town and places to eat. So we spent there was only Saturday night we were going out to a restaurant to have like a nice dinner, drinks, whatever.
Sure.
This one guy, Pete, shout out to you, Pete.
Pete Davidson? Just kidding.
Almost. Not Pete Davidson. Not Staten Island.
Way less ketamine.
Hopefully. I don't know him that well, but I imagine so. So this one guy, Pete, was like, I'm going to spearhead the research on the restaurants.
Okay.
And, I'm going to pick it and I'll make the reservation. And everyone was like, great. We were all having drinks, hanging out. None of us cared. So he was like, all right, we're gonna eat at this place. It was called, I think it was like La Vecchia Fontana, some Italian place.
Okay.
Right? Sounds great.
Sounds great.
We pull in, we walk up, sit down. They basically it was a very small restaurant because it's a small beach town. So we're sitting 9 basically at a folding table because they're not set up
they're
to
not
support,
catering to that.
They're not set
crowd.
up to support a party of 9, right?
Okay.
They're at most they could probably support a party of 6. So they had to use a folding table. We sit down, Pete looks at the bachelor boy and goes, "Don't worry, tonight your food and your drinks are on us." And everyone was like, obviously.
Yeah.
We're not going to make him pay for anything this weekend.
It's just proper etiquette, right?
And so someone else is like, all right, I'm going to ask for the wine list. And he looks at the woman that's filling our water glasses, and he was like, "Can I have a wine list?" She doesn't hear him. So we were like, okay, all right, we'll just wait. So then our waiter comes up and
Oh,
is
boy.
like, hey, how are you? These are our specials, blah, blah, blah. And then the same guy who sits across from me goes, can I have a wine list? And he was like, oh, it's BYOB at this restaurant,
Oh, man.
which I had never heard of. No one else had ever heard of.
Yeah, I was going to say, they do that at restaurants? I thought that was only at strip clubs.
At this, especially in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right? But no, this restaurant was BYOB. I don't know why. But
Damn.
we all looked at Pete and we were like, Pete, aren't you glad you did all that fucking research?
Oh, man.
So basically the whole dinner, we were
You guys
just shitting on
ragging
Pete.
Poor
And,
Pete, man. Hashtag poor Pete,
so
guys.
then-
Put it in the comments.
So then, hold on, it gets better for Pete. So we're at an Italian restaurant and all the dishes are in Italian. Now, when I go to a restaurant where the dishes are in a different language,
Oh,
I
boy.
try to order the dish how it's written so they know what I'm saying. Right? So I basically ordered a chicken cutlet with spaghetti. But on the menu it was pollo parmigiana something. Right? So I know it's chicken parm.
Yeah.
But I ordered it that way. There were 4 separate dishes that had crispy chicken cutlets and something else. Pete goes to order. He's like, can I get a crispy chicken cutlet? So then the guy repeats something back to him. And Pete was immediately like, I'm not sure that's what I ordered. And we were like, okay, so say something. He was like, no, I'm just going to see what comes out.
Oh,
There's about a
God.
25% chance I get what I wanted. So
25% chance.
he doesn't get what he was trying to order.
Of
but
course
we were
not.
all like, we all looked at him. We were like, you ordered a crispy chicken cutlet. That chicken cutlet is crispy as hell, man. Like, that chicken cutlet looked really good. It's just that he got a crispy chicken cutlet topped with arugula. And he was like, I don't really want this arugula. And we were all like, but you ordered a crispy chicken cutlet. You got a crispy chicken cutlet. You didn't specify what you wanted on top of it.
Yeah.
And then when it came to ordering dessert, a handful of people ordered dessert. A handful of people ordered cappuccinos, frappuccinos, espressos. He ordered a tiramisu. They forgot his tiramisu, so he had to reorder it. So the whole night, Pete just kept going, it just gets better and better, guys. It gets better and better. And we were just making fun of him the whole time.
Oh, man.
And then the kicker was, we went and looked at the sheet that we were given by the people that owned the place that we were staying at.
Yeah.
And in the restaurant, in the list of restaurants that he said the restaurant we were eating at was not there, the woman just wrote La Fontana, not La Vecchia Fontana, and it says in parentheses BYOB. And we were like, Pete, you said you read the sheet. It wasn't there. You did all the research. He was taking all this clout for making the reservation just to get there
man.
and not be able to order any drinks, which ended up
Egg
being
on
good
your
because
face, Pete.
with 9 of us eating at a pretty top-notch Italian place, 9 people ordering entrees, that came out to like $560. So if we threw drinks in there, we would have spent $1,000 amongst the 9 of us easily, probably more than that.
So in a way,
it worked out because we had plenty of booze and alcohol at the house. But the funny thing is, Pete was trying to be like, I called, I made the reservation, I did the research, the reviews were great, blah, blah, blah. By the way, none of the reviews said BYOB. So
fair enough.
we were just making fun of Pete all night. But just keep in mind,
Everybody's got a role to
if you're
play.
going to do your research, actually do your research.
Yeah. Everybody's got a role to play at the bachelor party, right? Everybody brings like a certain thing to the table.
So my thing was, Sunday morning, we had to obviously clean up, and they wanted us to make sure we washed and dried the linens and put them back on the beds.
Okay. That
So,
seems fair.
Working in healthcare and being up super early, also, being that it was a Sunday, and I usually work Sundays, my
So
alarms...
you're automatically
and my
ready
alarm
to
was
go.
preset, which I forgot about my alarm because,
Yeah.
you know, I'm used to it just being
do you have
there.
you have like a daily alarm set where it's like you have to literally turn it off every day?
Exactly.
Yeah, so
if
so
I
do
don't
I.
need it.
Yeah,
So
do I,
5:42 rolls around and the standard iPhone alarm goes off.
Yep.
And I wake up and it's Sunday morning at 5:42. So my body was like, "You're not going back to sleep. Get the fuck up."
That's so funny. We get up at like basically the same time. I get up at 5:30 though.
Yeah. It's only 5. I've said it before. It's only 5:42 because that alarm already existed, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to make a new one.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it'd be 5:45. So I got up and I immediately stripped the bed I was in. The guy above me got up a little bit later, but so I showered and I immediately started cleaning up. So I brought a little bit of food, some booze that was mainly for me. Not that it was designed to just be for me, but everyone brought their own stuff.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it just ended up being that way. And basically, by the end of middle through that morning, they were calling me the dad of the bachelor party.
He's the responsible dad.
And the funny thing is, while I was the oldest one there, I was only the oldest one by like 3 months. So it's like
You're hardly a dad. I mean,
Right.
it's literally just in the way
But
that you
it's
carry
just
yourself.
that I was the one that was up. So I was like, I'm going to start cleaning. I'm going to start getting the laundry ready. And as people woke up, I was like, motherfucker, pull the sheets off your bed now.
Gotta be that guy.
But
you know?
yeah, so I was that guy.
But that doesn't surprise me though, because we've been to 2 bachelor parties now together,
yeah.
and the first one we went
Well,
to.
technically 3 if you want to count mine,
Well,
but it was at my house.
yeah,
So as
yeah.
far as going away.
Yeah, as far as going away, yeah, 2, right? So the one that we went to in Miami, right? They literally said that was the cleanest that anybody's ever left the house.
But we made sure to clean because
Well,
you
we're
can't
just-
leave the house in shit shape.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like we're just responsible adults in that sense, where it's like, yeah, we could just leave it for somebody else, but we're already a little on the older side and know what it's like to have that responsibility. So it's like, that just can't. It just comes naturally to us. So it doesn't surprise me that you're the one that's spearheading the operation of making sure everything's clean and ready to go on the last day.
Yeah, because I went up with the bachelor and his brother, so we were going to be the last ones leaving. So I just wanted to I wanted to make sure everything was on time because we wanted to leave by a certain time to get to the bar for football.
Sure.
And the bar's 3 hours away because we were coming home.
Yeah.
And everyone else could basically go whenever they wanted after they woke up. So, no one else was going to do it, more than likely. I'm sure eventually someone would have, but
Yeah. But no,
that's just in my nature.
I feel like that's one of those situations where most people would be like, yeah, oh yeah, I was up and I had some breakfast and it's like, oh, you got it? Oh, you got it. Okay, great. Thanks.
I also think being a homeowner, I don't know how many of those guys own houses. I know a handful of them don't.
Yeah.
I also know a couple of the ones that do had to leave overnight because their drives were significantly longer.
Okay.
So I wonder if that played a factor. I don't
Probably.
know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
Not
Maybe.
that my house is nearly the cleanest, and if it is clean, it's because my wife cleaned.
Yeah.
When you live in it every day, you're like, I don't know, I'll get that tomorrow. But when you're leaving a place,
Well, yeah, because it's not yours, right? So it's
Right.
like you don't want the people to be like, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
bitching at you, being like, oh, we're gonna charge you a fee for damage or whatever.
Right. And either way, I mean, we're like you said, we're all older. We're all into our 30s.
Yeah.
Almost near mid 30s
Yeah,
at this point. So it was tame. It's not like You know,
It's not like a frat party.
right.
Right?
So it was tame. Nothing was damaged. I just wanted to make sure we left it as requested.
I'd
Just-
like to think even if we were in our 20s and we were partying, we still would have been like that. But
I
who
would
knows?
hope so.
Yeah, but who knows?
Who knows?
Right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Just good job, Pete. BYOB.
Do your
Restaurants.
research, kids.
Do your research, but
important.
also if you have like 6 bottles of liquor back at the place that you're staying, maybe you don't need to spend $400 on booze at a restaurant.
Yeah, so I mean, in a way, maybe good on you, Pete, but also, you know,
That's what we were saying. The funny thing is none of us really cared because we thought the food was great. The food was great. And we were all like, we're just going to have a few drinks when we get back. And it was the last night we were there, so no one was getting hammered, right? But a couple people that showed up late each bought a couple of bottles of booze. We had high noons. I had drank I had drank all my beer. High noons aren't for me.
yeah, not your favorite, though, huh?
Yeah, not for me.
That was the first seltzer, like alcohol seltzer that I had, and I was just like, man, this is... You know,
Yeah.
I was like, this is pretty great. And then, you know, because everybody was drinking White Claws at the time. That was like the
Right.
big, you know.
Yeah, so we're talking like 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
like the initial like transition, and everybody was talking about White Claws. But like, I had a High Noon for my first one, and I was just like, man, this tastes. I can't even tell like there's alcohol in here at all.
Yeah, I mean, the seltzers in general, the spiked seltzers they're not my favorite. High Noon's good, and
Yeah.
I understand why people like it. It's just if it's gonna be a beer or High Noon or a vodka soda that I mix myself,
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
I'm gonna pick the beer or the mixed drink by me over the High Noon.
Well,
but
of course.
it's good. It's just that those aren't my kind of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had brought a bottle of vodka.
Vodka.
One of his friends brought like 3 or 4 bottles of different things. You know, we're talking some like nice whiskey, some.
At least you guys had options.
There was rye. You know, they all brought like nice shit. I brought the $9.99 bottle of well vodka because only I was drinking it really.
Okay.
Like other people dabbled, but
Yeah.
you know, like I said, everyone brought their own shit.
Fair enough. And that makes sense. That's like, I feel like that's also like another like older thing to do, right? It's like you want to bring and contribute something, but at the same time, it's like chances are there's probably going to be a pretty good selection.
Right.
So you might as well bring like what you want.
Compared to when we were younger and when I went to parties, I would literally bring like a 12 or 18 pack of Budweiser
Yeah.
and I would hold it.
You're like, this is reserved for me.
I would
this.
hold it, or if I was playing beer pong or sitting and
This is for
bullshitting
my
with friends,
table.
like it was next to me.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
people would just steal your fucking shit no matter what. So I would hold my
like,
beer.
bro, it's for the party.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
come
it's
on.
not for the fucking party, shit dick.
Shitdick.mpeg.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
their
not.
MC name. Yeah, I get it though.
But yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit at the bar, and this seems like a good transition for at least a brief period of time. But so you went to Instant Replay, which was our bar growing up.
Yes.
You know, in our prime days of drinking, which is a sports bar. And naturally, we're transitioning into watching Sunday Night Football.
So the Giants got fucking dominated. Dominated. They didn't show up. I don't know what
Did
happened.
they score a point?
No, 40-0.
Okay.
40-0.
What was the halftime score?
26-0.
Okay, because that's
So
where I think I left off
the Giants,
from what I heard.
I said I got into work the next morning. I was like, the Giants were body snatched by the Little Giants, which, if you don't know what the Little Giants are,
Yep.
go watch that movie. It's a great one.
It really is.
But they're not professionals.
Yeah,
Hence
they could have used some glue on their hands.
Seriously.
You know,
But, oh my God,
you gonna
that
catch
game
that
was
toilet
bad.
paper roll.
And then, flash forward, because I'm not a Giants fan, I am clearly a fucking masochist as a fucking Jets fan. Like, holy shit. Arron Rodgers.
And that is, that's...
tears his goddamn Achilles 4 plays in. Now, let me say this.
Okay.
On Sunday, I did say Arron Rodgers was going to get hurt in the first quarter. So a guy I work with walked in to work on, I said it Sunday I said it Monday. I'm sorry. I said it on Monday. And Tuesday, he walked into work and looked at me and said, "You're not allowed to talk about Jets football anymore." But here's the thing. If you are a lifelong Jets fan, you should have known something was going to go wrong early on in the season.
Oh, yeah.
You should have known, because it always happens. So, if you were not ready for shit to go wrong, that is your fault.
Yeah.
You fucked up.
Yeah, you fucked up.
Right? Because I knew something was going to go wrong. I didn't know what it was.
If you're a realistic Jets fan,
so
then you should already know that.
The best thing is I wasn't watching the game yet. Went to ESPN.com, and I saw the video of Arron Rodgers walking off the field, and I was like, oh, he's done for the year. Didn't even see what happened.
Yeah.
And being that I was just at a bachelor party, we still have our group chat going. I imagine we'll have like another day or two of it.
Yeah. It's not a long lifespan,
No,
but it'll last a little bit.
But it'll fizzle soon.
Yeah.
There was another guy there who is a Jets fan and a doctor. And I wrote in the group chat, I was like, people are already saying Achilles. And he posted a close-up, and he was like, you see right there, you see his calf muscle just climb up? He was like, that's how you know it's an Achilles. He was like, it absolutely is. And I was like, I mean, if I'm going to trust anyone, it's the
guy.
doc in the group.
Yeah.
And then, 12 hours later, they said it was an Achilles. But to my fellow Jets fans who actually thought things were going to go okay, you let them pull the wool
over your naive eyes.
Your eyes. Things do not go right for the Jets. Ever. Ever.
Yeah, that was...
Ever. Ever.
That was my... Ever. Okay. That was gonna be like my main talking point, because I've said this before in the podcast, but like I don't really follow football too much, but I'll like read up a little bit and catch highlights here and there. And one of my residents at work that I take care of, we talk sports all the time, no matter what it is. Predominantly, we're into hockey, but he is a Jets fan, unfortunately, and knew immediately that he was like, he told me, because I didn't see the highlight or anything like that. He was just like, he's done for the year. He was like, this is Vinny Testaverde, 1998, after the Jets went to the, was it the conference finals?
They went
or
to
something
AFC
like that?
Championship.
AFC Championship the year before.
Yeah.
And everybody was on that, riding that high. And, couple plays into the game, Vinny snaps and tears his Achilles, and that's that. And he was like, this is literally that all over again.
Yeah.
And he's a realistic sports fan and Jets fan, so he knew, things weren't going to be good anyways. But this seems to be the pattern for the Jets. And I said to you before, and I said to him, I was just like, and the performance on Sunday, right, coming back, I'm assuming, and winning in overtime.
Yeah.
Did they come back and win?
So, to make a long story short, Bills took the lead. Jets had the lead going to the end of the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay.
Bills kicked a field goal to tie it, went 3-and-out on their first possession in overtime, punted to the Jets, and the Jets returned a punt
for a touchdown
to win the game.
Wow. Super dramatic. So my point though in all that is that you guys just won the Super Bowl. That's your one victory for the year that you can be like, yo, Jets are fucking elite. They're elite.
Listen. If you are a rational Jets fan, you knew this was coming. You knew a big blow was coming. And my issue with New York teams in general, Maybe not the
I
Giants.
I feel like I already know where you're going with
Maybe
this,
not
but
the
go
Giants the last couple of years, but you can easily say the Jets, the Yankees, the Mets. You want to throw in the hockey teams? Maybe. I'm not sure. They all win the fucking offseason. The offseason looks great. Regular season starts, they tear an Achilles. Arron Rodgers tearing his Achilles is a metaphor for New York sports for the last handful of years.
Well, okay, so I didn't think you were going quite that route, but it still kind of ties into what I was thinking, and that is that how old is Arron Rodgers? 41?
39?
So almost 40, right? He's no Tom Brady, right? If you look at Arron Rodgers, he's definitely way more, let's say, weathered, right, for aging in this particular case. Than
Taking a
Tom
lot
Brady.
more hits.
Taking a lot more hits.
Tom Brady's had a lot more work
New York
done on his
trades
face.
for all these people. It's the New York way, right? It was the Knicks way for years, and all these other teams, right? You trade for people who were great and maybe still kind of are, but like they're old. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like we got Zach Randolph on the Knicks when he was just like, he was worthless. You know what I mean? It's like at that point,
Didn't the Knicks have him twice?
Maybe.
Or
Maybe
no?
they had him beforehand. I don't know. But, like, he was worthless at that point. The Knicks have, like, this way of just – or New York teams in general really is my point.
Right.
Of just getting players that are already used up. They've already had their best years behind them. And that's Derrick Rose included. And I'm a huge Derrick Rose enthusiast.
And what's crazy about the Knicks is they don't even win the fucking offseason.
What?
They lose historically.
Yeah.
The last handful of years, they've been a lot better. But usually the Knicks lose the offseason, and then they're like, wait, we're not good.
Yeah. So
When they traded to Toronto for Andrea Bargnani, when they traded for him, I was like, this guy was good 10 years ago.
yeah.
He's been hurt every year for the last 5 years.
Yeah, like what value does he possibly have?
And they traded for him, and Toronto won a championship off of that trade on the Knicks.
What did they get? What did
Look
they
at
save?
look
Cap
at what
space?
Brooklyn
What
did.
did they do?
Brooklyn got Kevin Garnett. They traded for Paul Pierce. Wait, I think they traded for Garnett too. Were they both from the Celtics at that time?
Pierce and Garnett?
I think they were
Yeah.
both from the Celtics. Brooklyn, either way, Brooklyn traded a whole bunch of shit to the Celtics, and the Celtics turned that into Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And look where Brooklyn is now. They even tried doing it again with Kyrie and Kevin Durant.
Yeah, we're not.
And then neither of that worked. Again, winning the offseason.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. But yes,
So-
I was going to say, so like, I didn't see the highlight initially of, Arron Rodgers hurting himself.
Yeah.
So I eventually later on saw the highlight on Monday morning of him going back, and nobody hit him, just like my resident said. And then he was like, that's how he knew it was the Achilles.
Well, he was getting pulled down.
Was he?
But he was getting pulled down, but he hit a guy like around his midsection.
Okay.
But no one hit his leg.
But like if you watch the replay and like because I saw it on TikTok, right? They zoom in on it, they play it multiple times,
Yeah.
and you can see the snap.
You see the snap.
You see the snap.
Oh, it's
of-
nasty.
And the only reason why I knew without even reading anything or looking that was an Achilles tear was because scrolling through TikTok, obviously.
All the TikTok doctors.
Yeah,
There are a legitimate amount of doctors that are on TikTok.
Yeah, you see fucked up shit, and they're always just like, here's why you don't do this, or here's why you don't do that, or here's how
Yeah.
you know this is this, right? And it was somebody who was in the gym weightlifting. I can only assume it was like, a college. Maybe they were on like a sports team or something, and they were pushing, like a bunch of like racked weights like across the floor, like you
Oh,
do
yeah.
sometimes
Oh,
for like
see? Hit that.
resistance, I guess. And the guy went to do that, and he snapped his Achilles. And you saw it on video, and I was like, that's the same injury.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the same devastating, disgusting thing to watch. I hate
Yeah.
watching football injuries like that. I just always think of Willis McGahee, and it will always be the number one
yes.
thing
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
that I think of.
You know how many times I've watched that injury in slow motion?
Yeah,
Willis
hundreds.
McGahee
It's brutal
in
dude.
Miami.
Yeah. But that's how
Exactly.
I knew, and I'm just like, as a non-caring like Jets fan or football fan in general, it's just like you had to know that was coming. You had to know. You
Yeah.
traded for a 39-year-old guy who had a great career and is literally on his last days as a quarterback.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like maybe you get one season out of him, maybe
I think
two.
they were looking for 2.
Yeah.
Now,
It's
the
like
reason
Brett Favre and all these
the
other.
reason I was okay with it, and it makes more sense than when the Jets traded for Brett Favre, is right now the Jets have a championship level defense. Seemingly their special teams is good, though. That's a fucking toss up every
Yeah.
year.
I mean, we'll see, right?
But they have a championship level defense. They have the receivers. They have the running backs. Their offensive line is shit, which is why Rodgers got hurt. And they just needed someone to throw the ball. They got the person to throw the ball, seemingly. However, going into the regular season, they were like, the offensive line needs to protect him.
Yeah.
He played 4 plays.
Oh.
He was hit 3 times. The offensive line didn't protect him, and now they don't have anyone to throw the ball. Zach Wilson
is there. Yeah.
sucks. He sucks. He sucks. He sucks.
Did you get that, guys? He really sucks.
Right? He's not good.
The worst.
He's not good.
The
And
worst.
the worst. And there were people who actually thought that, 3 years of Arron Rodgers is going to fix Zach Wilson. No, I don't think so. Like, he's just not good. Show me a quarterback that can't throw the ball. That's good. Do they exist? No. No. He can't throw the fucking football. He can't.
That's it's tough. Yeah, the resident that I was talking about at work, he was basically saying like, "Oh yeah, they're already thinking about like trading for somebody."
They're going to sign someone else or trade for someone else because they
Yeah.
know Zach's not good enough right now.
Yeah.
The reason they are keeping him around is they spent such a high draft pick on him that if he
Gotta
doesn't
get
pan
their
out,
worth back.
if he doesn't pan out, well, they'll never get that back. The only way you get that back is if you trade him for someone who's worth a
Better.
lot, but he's not good enough to get that.
Yeah.
No one would trade for him. The only way he leaves the Jets is if they cut him or his contract runs out and they let him go.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's tough. I think to my like in my mind, because like I don't really know football, right, like that well. It's been a long time. But
I'll sum it up for you.
It's like at that point,
the Jets suck.
could they make a trade for like a better O lineman?
The Giants suck. Could they make a trade? So
Because I mean, obviously that seems to be a point of
what I would
interest
say for the
Jets.
offensive line, like hockey, right? When you have a new line in hockey, it takes them some time to get
build
some
chemistry.
reps.
Yeah.
The offensive line is similar. However, the offensive line the Jets have it's not good. Because there's a difference between a good offensive line that needs to gel and an offensive line that's not good. And I would say the offensive line is not good. Now, maybe in 6 weeks they can become good after they get a feel for things.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's tough, though.
I don't think so, though. Because everyone knew in the preseason, and even last year, Zach Wilson last year, while he wasn't good, was also running for his fucking life every game. Because they weren't blocking shit, so everyone knew the offensive line was an issue. So it's not. They probably won't become good. It's probably going to be a weakness the whole thing.
Yeah.
And no one's trading a good offensive lineman. You hold on to them.
Well, yeah.
The key is you need to draft and develop. And the reason the Jets are trading for a 39-year-old quarterback is because they don't draft and develop offensive talent. Their offensive talent that they have right now, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, I'm sure there are others, but those are the first 2 that come to my mind. They came into the league talented. They were already there. They just had to plug in place. But the quarterback you actually need to develop. The Jets do not do that.
Yeah.
They just fucking suck.
And that's our take on the NFL and the Jets.
They're going to win 7 games this year, miss the playoffs, and then sell everyone on, next year will be better. Like they do every year.
Like every year.
So fuck them.
That's tough, man. That's tough.
I'm going to use the bathroom. Intermission.
All right. Intermission, guys. He's going to hit the head. And while he hits the head, if you... like we said earlier in the podcast, but if you haven't already, please... drop a like on the video if you enjoy. Leave us some comments down there. Let us know what you think of our opinions on the beer, on the on what we've talked about so far, right? On the Jets, on the Giants, on the NFL in general, talking about the beer, Let us know if you want us to rate any specific beer that maybe you enjoy, that you really want to see somebody else try and potentially get really excited about, right? Let us know in that comment section. Let us know if we're wrong about football or if we're being too harsh on the Jets and the Giants or New York sports in general, especially if you're a New Yorker. We know you're not shy. And please consider subscribing to the channel, as we are indeed putting out these podcasts pretty much every 2 weeks. Me and Dillon try to do. Steve and I are a little more frequent on the musical reacts, as we usually... I'm all right for now. I'm feeling pretty good. As we do the React videos, pretty much, we do a bunch in one shot, so I kind of am able to like stagger and release them, throughout. And if you did those things, like I said, subscribe and hit that noti bell so you never miss any of the future content. Whoa!
Exactly.
Welcome back. Where did you come from?
I have functioning legs.
Man, thank God.
That's where I came from.
He didn't roll up on us like Christopher Reeve.
I can't describe the vibe I get.
When I drive by 6 people.
And 5 I hit. I'm sorry that you had to hear that Jet rant. However.
I mean, it's fair. I mean, if you're a realistic fan, though, you should understand that already.
It's a matter of being angry at Jet fans that actually got excited, and the fact that the Jets just have the worst luck ever. Yeah. But we talked enough about them.
But we digress.
So
do we want to move on to... Uh-oh.
Oh.
I almost fucked it up.
You losing it there.
I think it should be okay. Oh, God. If it falls, guys, smash that like button.
What did you want to move on to?
So we did talk about how, in the very beginning, that we finally succeeded in going to the Alive After 5 festival in Farmingdale, which we had previously been talking about.
Maine.
Yeah, Music on Maine. We talked about it like probably multiple times, right? Like in episodes, and how we couldn't go and how we planned on going and this and that. So, big thing that happened that day, other than the greatness of finally achieving our goal and going there, right, was that halfway through being there, one of our buddies that's been on the channel for the reacts, Omar, texted us in the group chat telling us that Bray Wyatt passed away.
Oh, Bray Wyatt.
And, you pretty much, I think me and you saw it at like the same exact time, and Steve was in the middle of ordering a beer. And we were just like, no way. Like, this can't be real. Like, there's just no way that Bray Wyatt's dead. And then, immediately we're Googling, we're, checking social media to see if there's any other verification from anybody or,
yeah.
And sure enough, it was true. Texts were exchanged in our group of friends, and it was just unbelievable that, 36-year-old Bray Wyatt,
Wyndham
Rotunda, passed away due to COVID complications.
He had a heart attack.
Yeah, he had a heart attack while taking a nap. And the kicker of all this is, and if this might be the most important thing if you're having heart and health issues, right? He was not wearing his heart monitoring device. He opted not to wear it, took a nap, and had complications.
And
passed away.
My first thought is, I hope he was just sleeping and then died.
I mean,
hope it was.
I hope it was
painless,
that. Yeah,
right?
I hope it was that because I mean,
because I've being a medic myself, I've seen plenty of people like real life heart attacks, how much pain they're in.
Yeah, go very poorly, right? Like,
I mean, it's poor regardless of if the outcome is positive or not.
Yeah.
Because you still have to live it.
Yeah. It definitely takes a chunk of life away from you, whether
Oh,
you survive
for sure.
it or not.
Or, yeah, it takes some time away from you, and it takes away how you enjoy your time. And how you have access to your time. A heart attack. So,
It's tough.
I mean, at 36, it's just wild. 36. I know he was married. I believe he had children.
Yeah, he did.
Being so close to him in age it's just wild.
I know. You think about it, and it's like, man, he's only 2 years older than us. Depending,
Yeah.
I guess, on when his birthday was. But
Yeah. I know he was 87, so whatever.
yeah, it's just crazy to think, man.
But
like,
what really did it for me, well, I mean, I don't know, it's terrible phrasing, but what really hammered it in, again, terrible phrasing.
terrible phrasing. Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
It's a good reference. Was every wrestler under the sun just was talking about how great of a person he was.
Everybody. Doesn't matter the company, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever.
And it was just like,
That's
you
a
think
loss.
about Brody.
Absolutely. How could you not?
And,
That's literally, a lot of people's posts are talking about Bray Wyatt's post about Brody, and how that was his brother, he's lost without him and everything, and to lose, another member of the Wyatt family,
Right.
so close in age.
And they were
so close
both
together.
super young and
both COVID related, right?
I don't know about Brody.
I think it exacerbated
Probably.
an issue, which is what happened to Bray Wyatt. Although from the article that I read, he was making
I read he
positive,
had COVID in like February or something.
but was
or
making
March.
positive strides towards being better. And unfortunately, you just never know.
So early on, and I'm talking like before masks were a thing in 2020, early on.
Yeah.
I was listening to a consultation between doctors, because that's what I do. And this was specific for a pulmonary embolism, which is a clot in your lungs. And that doctor then, in 2020, said, because he asked if they had tested for COVID, and they were like, no, we didn't, because at the time it wasn't a thing you did with everybody.
Yeah.
It wasn't super prominent yet, especially in New York, since I think in this country, New York was the ground zero for this country at least.
Yeah, it was.
He said with clots, we presume COVID until we know it's not. Right? Because COVID, in some people, fucks with your coagulopathy and how your blood coagulates and all that shit. And, heart attack is, it can be a lot of things, but usually it's just some kind of clot in your heart. I don't know, man. This shit, it just kind of fucks with me. Because someone being so close to my age,
and also,
I would consider him to be in good shape. Like wrestling shape, you have to be in great shape.
I always thought that as far as wrestling ability, I thought Bray Wyatt always lacked in the department of wrestling. However, he burned twice as bright on the charisma.
So my question to you is, I hear what you're saying, right? Like moves and telling a story and all that.
Yeah. I think as far as ability,
but I was just
ability to
right.
do
But I was
moves.
just talking about the agility to
Oh,
carry
sure.
out a 15-minute
He
match.
can do it. Yeah, he could.
That's
could
what
do
I
that.
meant by shape.
Yeah.
But what you were saying, I
As far as
can
wrestling
see-
ability and like diversity in the ring.
I would say he had probably one of my favorite finishers. Granted, I haven't watched wrestling in a long time, but the last time I was watching, he was in his first big run as a singles act. And Sister Abigail, fantastic finisher.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the most iconic characters, if not almost exclusively because he's the first big supernatural character besides The Undertaker and Kane.
Right.
Right? And Kane you kind of throw in there. I love Kane, but like The Undertaker's obviously the one you think of. Right?
I'll agree.
But yeah, I mean, I just always think back to watching Raw when he was feuding with Cena with the itty bitty babies.
Itty bitty babies.
But it's just so hard. It's and maybe a lot of modern day, like youth wrestling fans feel this way. But in my mind, I think of it and I think that there's some people out there that probably feel the way that me and you felt about Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
The way that, they probably feel that way about Bray Wyatt. And it's crazy to think that because, A, it makes me feel really old. And because Eddie's been dead for a really long time now.
Was he 2006?
I think so. Because, we were still in high school. We probably were seniors.
Yeah.
Or juniors, either ways. And, and besides that, it's just a terrible thing to see an active wrestler person.
November 13th of 2005. So we were juniors.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So I mean, it's just a terrible thing.
And he was 38, which was crazy. In 2005, 38 seemed like so much older than me.
Yeah.
But now
we're right.
You
we're
have
almost
some
there.
sort of perspective where you're like 38 is young.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, Eddie lived a hell of a life. And I watched the other day on TikTok, his promo came up that he cut against Brock Lesnar going into No Way Out when he won his first ever World Heavyweight Championship. And I was just like, maybe I did see it, like back then, but I didn't remember it. But I was just like, man, what a fucking promo Eddie cut about being like a drug addict and losing his family and losing to addiction, and then how he got fired and worked his way back up the ladder and everything, and how this is winning the championship was his redemption for everything in his life and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, what a way to cut a promo for Brock Lesnar especially. Yeah. I think that's almost one of the reasons why, even though Brock and Eddie didn't work a ton of matches together, why Brock feels so passionately about Eddie Guerrero when he talks about him and when people reminisce about Eddie.
Yeah, I didn't know that he actually felt that way because I don't think I've seen him talk about him. But honestly, I mean, I feel like it's 2005 all over again because I remember when Eddie passed away and just being like, oh, my God, found dead in his fucking hotel.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That was just... And when Bray Wyatt passed away, it was the same thing. It's like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah, it was unbelievable, being there, and you carry on because there's nothing you can do. It is what it is, right? It's we just still enjoyed the festival, but we were just kind of.
It was just more being flabbergasted about it the rest of the night.
Yeah, just being like, what the fuck, and getting other people's reactions on it, if anything, via text.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I felt like we needed to talk about that, especially considering.
I'm glad you brought that up, considering we didn't even mention it about, what are we going to talk about later?
Yeah, because we did talk about, wrestling, because that's obviously always something that we can talk about whether we watched it or not, because we still catch the updates, catch the news, have friends that are still connected and talking about it. But yeah, and I kind of have been following a little bit of AEW, mostly via articles and stuff like that. And but I do watch
CM Punk got shit canned.
He sure did. I just don't. He's just a piece of shit like that. I don't know how else to say it. If you like CM Punk's in-ring ability, like, fine, that's great. But like, speaking to his, his own personal, like, persona and working behind the scenes, he comes off like a real piece of shit to me.
So here's how I look at it, right?
Just difficult to work with.
He's good in the ring.
Great.
I'd say good. You'd say great?
Well, maybe not great in the ring now because he's older. Maybe back when he was in WWE coming up, great. But
all right, so we'll say good to great in the ring.
Charisma
amazing
on the mic.
On the microphone.
Yeah, amazing.
So you have to look at it this way.
That's his big sell point.
2 separate companies took a guy who is amazing on the microphone, good to great in the ring, but he was such a disaster off camera. They both fired him.
Yeah. Because he is that. He's a disaster.
And AEW,
he can't.
Different from WWE, they do press releases and shit. And they do press releases right away. So Tony Khan released a press release that, what's his real name? Phil
Brooks.
Phil Brooks was terminated today with cause.
And I feel like AEW gave him multiple chances, right? Like
oh yeah.
Like when you talk about CM Punk and AEW, his name is almost synonymous with trouble, right? Like issues with whoever. And one of the big things coming out of this, firing was his clear issue with Jungle Boy or Jack Perry. And how a lot of people were saying in wrestling articles and stuff like that this is a death blow to Jungle Boy Jack Perry's career because of the way things went down and like the fact that like he had issues with CM Punk like behind the scenes and went threw it in his face and stuff like that. And like in my mind, it's not a death blow, but obviously, my mind is not gospel and the way I view things isn't gospel. And, it doesn't affect the way other people see things or treat him backstage.
So I didn't see anything how it happened or what happened. I read briefly that however it ended, I didn't read how it ended, but they went backstage and that other people had issue with CM Punk with how it ended. And that was the beginning of the end for CM Punk and AEW.
Yeah, I mean, he had multiple issues with people from, what I had been reading on the wrestling forums, and it came to a head at the pay-per-view recently, which I want to say was All Out or All In. I don't know, because I think they had
it was
2.
one or the other.
Yeah, and he didn't want them to use real glass for a spot with Jack Perry, right? And then literally on the pay-per-view, he smacks the fucking glass on like a truck and says, "This is real glass." So he so he ended up getting what he wanted, which is obviously what CM Punk didn't want. And then there was a confrontation when he went backstage at, Gorilla or whatever, And like I only caught like and read glimpses of like what happened, but supposedly like there was, obviously like verbal confrontation, which ultimately led to physical confrontation from what I heard in so much as...
Yeah, I saw he punched Jack Perry.
Yeah, and I also heard he put him in a guillotine, but I don't know if that is true.
Based off his UFC career, the guillotine was probably not that great. So
he
probably got out of it.
Yeah, I was going to say. But yeah, people are, speculating on the, on the wrestling forums and everything, though, that it's a death blow to Jack Perry.
I disagree. I
hope not, because I do think he's great.
And the reason why I would disagree is if AEW is smart with their talent, they can turn the fans on CM Punk.
They should be able to, honestly.
And then they'll be fine.
He's not a part of the company anymore. So like why would you, and this sounds like horrible to say, right? But like why would you not turn on him?
You have to.
And use that to fuel your future money-making superstars.
Well, one of the best lines against CM Punk ever, I think WWE was in Chicago. You're going to know what I'm talking about when I get there. Stephanie McMahon's out in the ring.
Oh, okay.
You already know.
I feel like I already know, yeah.
So the fans start chanting CM Punk, and she looks at her watch, and they eventually stop. And she goes, now, if you only lasted another minute longer, you would have outlasted his UFC debut. Bam.
Nailed it.
Right? And that's great, because she just shit all over that.
Ultimate heel.
All over that. I mean, she's a McMahon. She's an ultimate heel regardless.
Yeah. If not
So-
only by association.
Right. So AEW needs to do something similar. If they, with their collective minds as wrestlers, executives, whoever, can't find a way to strengthen Jungle Boy off of this, then they probably shouldn't exist as a company.
They should be able to.
I haven't seen him
I
wrestle
agree.
in a couple years. When AEW first came out, I watched a lot, and I saw him wrestle. He's a good enough wrestler that his wrestling ability alone will get him eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
He's one of the pillars.
Right. You just turn the story in his favor, he'll be fine. I disagree it's a death blow.
Yeah.
It might hurt him in the immediate future, maybe,
Yeah.
but
hope
I
it's
think he'll
not.
be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so, because I do like him, and I think he is a very important part of AEW.
He's going to be fine.
But yeah, CM Punk is a disaster. But yeah, I haven't really, other than just like, reading what happened in the media and stuff like that, I haven't been following AEW. I pretty much just been watching the WWE pay-per-views recently and not watching, Raw, SmackDown, or whatever. Unless it's like on my computer or whatever on the side while I'm playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Starfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
All right, well, CM Punk kind of sucks.
Bottom line.
Great
And
on the mic, though.
And Stone Cold said so.
He did. I'm sure he did.
He
I don't know
probably
if he said it on the microphone, but he said it. And other than that, you got anything else?
No, I mean, I think that seems like a great place to wrap it up. I can't tell where we're at exactly, but it seems like we're past an hour at the very least.
It looks like an hour 16:55.
Which is pretty great. Longer than we probably even anticipated this going. We try to do at least an hour every episode.
Well,
but
that's always the case. Whenever we sit down, I'm always like, man, we got about 15 minutes of content.
And then next thing you know, it's like, boom, here we are an hour in. And honestly, we could keep going, but we like to just keep it an hour because,
So we're going to let
attention
you
spans.
go. Bros, Brews in the Basement. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Basement Universe on YouTube.
Yep. And check us out on Apple Music, Amazon, all the major platforms where you can listen to podcasts.
Listen or watch, please subscribe. Follow us on the other social medias. I try my best to cut up some shorts.
Yeah, give you an idea of what you're in for, and also just like highlights of what's to come.
Yeah, so please take a listen, all right?
And with that being said, thank you guys so much. I don't have any beer in here, but I'll cheers you one last time anyways.
Cheers.
Got to drive soon, so thanks for watching, guys.
Have
Thanks
a
for
good night.
listening. Have a good night.